A sold-out crowd of 15,000 gathered at Woodstock yesterday to mark the 40th anniversary of the historic concert that defined an era. Tennessee health officials have recorded the swine flu virus has killed 28 people statewide. A man from Chicago steals first place at a hot dog eating competition. City council members plan to meet with lawmakers soon to try and ban payday advance loans, not just in East Ridge, but in the entire state. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Shropshire, and we'll have more on those stories in just a moment. But first, we have some breaking news to tell you about. There's been a shooting in Cleveland. It happened at Mosley Park. Police are on the scene right now and are still assessing the situation. The condition of the shooting victim is not known at this time, but you can depend on us to bring you more information as it becomes available. A fire rips through a vacant apartment building, and now investigators want to know what caused it. That fire broke out at the apartments off Gurley Street in North Chattanooga earlier this morning. As News Channel 9's Derek Dellinger tells us, it's a fire that comes on the heels of vandalism.
This is all that's left of an apartment just off Gurley Street. Smoke damage and remnants of a building that was. Derek Dellinger, News Channel 9.
We're told the apartment complex was at one point affiliated with the Chattanooga Housing Authority, but the apartments are now under new management. A week ago today, a large Chattanooga building went up in flames, and authorities say a 10-year-old is to blame. The fire did about $1 million in damage to the River City Plastics building. Investigators found out the sparks began just outside the back of the building. The boy told investigators he was playing with a lighter and trying to set some materials on fire. The boy says he tried to stomp out the flames, but it was too late. The child was charged with setting fire to personal property and reckless endangerment. And investigators are still trying to figure out what sparked this massive fire at a warehouse almost 3 weeks ago. The ATF is assisting local fire officials, but the building was empty at the time of the fire. Flames and smoke shot 30 to 40 feet into the air. There were no injuries. Chattanooga firefighters say it was one of the biggest fires they've ever seen. Hundreds of people are abandoning their homes as a wildfire rages in Northern California. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger met with firefighters at the Lockheed Fire Department in the Santa Cruz Mountains. He urged everyone to heed mandatory evacuation orders. The fire has scorched about 7,000 acres. More than 230 homes and ranches are under evacuation orders. Could one Chattanooga nightclub's shutdown cause problems for another? Some residents are saying it could. A man showed up at Memorial Hospital after he says he was cut at the Drink nightclub on Brainerd Road. Mike Gaza says he didn't even know about that accident until he saw it on the news. Gaza, who's the owner, says that since Deep Blue closed, they've seen bigger crowds show up at their club. Even with extra security for the club, Gaza says the bigger problem is one they can't control: the crowd that are not on their property. The trial of a man accused of killing his estranged wife starts tomorrow. Sam Parker is a former Lafayette police officer accused of killing his estranged wife, Teresa Parker. Parker was a 911 dispatcher in Walker County. She disappeared more than 2 years ago, and her body has never been found. Last week, jurors were selected in Bartow County, then brought to Walker County, where the trial will begin tomorrow morning. Police in Georgia may be able to use a woman's cell phone to track her last steps. The GBI says Christy Cornwell's phone was found 3.5 miles away from where she disappeared last week. At the time Cornwell was allegedly abducted, police say she was on her cell phone talking to her boyfriend. The boyfriend told police he heard a struggle and then the phone went dead. While the investigation is picking up, the GBI says they have not focused on any one suspect. Chicago area gun owners traded in their firearms for gift cards this weekend. It's all part of the 4th annual gun buyback event. People had 27 different sites around the city to choose from. Gun owners received gift cards ranging from $10 to $100 depending on the gun. Police say despite a drop in funding, the number of guns turned in doesn't seem to have dropped too much. They collected nearly 2,000 guns as of late last night. The FAA is taking a very close look at 2 air traffic controllers on duty during the deadly mid-air crash over the Hudson River. As Susan Candiotti reports, one of them was on the phone at the time and the other wasn't even there.
as investigators study this amateur video to find out what led to the terrifying mid-air crash over the Hudson. In Italy, a family mourns. Among the 5 Italian tourists killed aboard the sightseeing helicopter was a father and son, Michele and Filippo Norelli.
Had a role in this accident.
That was Susan Candiotti reporting. The FAA says the 2 employees are now on administrative leave, but the investigation's not over. Ultimately, they could be fired. While the FAA says all this had no direct role in the mid-air collision, the NTSB says it's too early to draw any conclusions. Hundreds of people gathered in Jonesboro for another town hall meeting on health care. This forum was full of opinions and concerns about President Barack Obama's health care reform plan. Democratic Congressman David Scott conducted the session for nearly 4 hours. Recently, reaction from these meetings has gotten somewhat out of hand, so the lawmaker says he intended the meeting to be a way for constituents to address their concerns politely. Now, at times, the event was emotional as both advocates for and against their measure spoke about their opinions. Thousands of fans gather at Graceland in Memphis to remember the king on the 32nd anniversary of his death. Elvis Presley fans from around the world lit candles Saturday night as they paid tribute to their hero. Several Elvis impersonators were also on hand. Admission to the legendary rocker's home was free. Elvis died on August 16, 1977 at the age of 42. A sold-out crowd of 15,000 gathered at Woodstock yesterday to mark the 40th anniversary of the historic concert that defined an era. Back in 1969, it was a 3-day concert that became free after 400,000 people crowded over fences built on the sprawling farmland that looks much the same as it did back then. Conrad Oberg, a 15-year-old phenom guitar player, opened the 40th anniversary concert. Fans were treated to some of the old festival veterans, including Richie Havens, Country Joe, Canned Heat, and members of the Janis Joplin Band. Sounds like a good time.
It does sound like a very good time, and we are dealing with a few showers in the area right now. Not much, but we are going to see some more of those showers and thunderstorms move our way over the next couple of days, and it's all thanks to Tropical Storm Claudette. Saturday and Sunday, we've got a slight chance in there for now, but that may change depending on what Anna and Bill do, so we'll have to keep an eye on those, but we don't anticipate any effects from them until next weekend.
But for the most part, people need to have an umbrella for pretty much the rest of the week.
I would say keep it in the car, yes.
All right. Thanks, Allison. Well, the proposal expanding health care insurance to cover many of the 47 million uninsured has doctors bracing for a rush of new patients. The health care system is already strained. Without the passage of universal health coverage, experts predict the shortage in primary care will get worse sooner rather than later. To read more, pick up a copy of tomorrow's Chattanooga Times Free Press. A man walks out of a building in New York City and falls through the sidewalk. We'll tell you how when News Channel 9 at 11 continues.